Well, we're going to turn now to a really good tech corner. All of our tech corners are good, but this one is fun. It's a product we haven't really shown before. It's an air gauge from Western Gage, and we're going to show it to you on our new setup here. Here on our new set, we have a new in development TechCorner set, and Dirk's going to show it to you. And we're going to show you now an air gauge from Western Gage. So, Dirk, take it away.
So, what we're going to be talking about today, as Mike said, is an air gauge. We haven't really talked about air gauges before. What we're going to look at today is the Micro 2 air comparator from Western Gage. But before we get into it, let me just tell you, for those of you who aren't familiar with an air gauge, let me give you kind of just a brief rundown on how they work. You can't see it, but coming into the back of this box is compressed air, 60, 80, 100 psi, not sure what we're running at right now. And coming out the front of the box, as we can see right here on our gauge cam, is the gauging member. This is kind of the business end of the air gauge. And what you can't see, there's two little orifices in this. Now this particular gauging member is going to be set up and we'll be measuring inside diameter. And now there's a little orifice on top and a little orifice on the bottom. And when I turn the air on, there is a stream of air coming out of both these holes. Now, as the workpiece gets closer to that orifice, it's starting to very modestly close off that hole. That creates back pressure in the air gauge. That back pressure can be very precisely measured, and it corresponds to the distance of the workpiece from the orifice. Now, an air gauge, in most cases, is not a direct reading. Get my part here. It's not a direct reading measurement device. In other words, in a little bit we're going to be measuring this half-inch diameter hole. This is not going to actually measure the hole. An air gauge is more of a comparison, a comparator. We're going to compare a standard hole, a standard gauge calibrated hole here, to a workpiece. And it's that comparison that tells us whether a part is in spec or not. So again, before we get going into that, one of the real advantages of air gauges, particularly on a shop floor, is because there is air coming out of these orifices. When you take a fresh piece right off a machining center, it might have a little dust, might have a little oil. The fact that there's pressurized air coming out of the gauge itself, it's actually blowing off some of the dust and some of the oil from that part. And also basically it's also kind of cleaning itself as it goes. So from a shop floor point of view, air gauges are great. These are actually kind of cleaning the part as you go. They're also very easy to use. As we'll see, we're going to set up and take a measurement on there. An unskilled operator could be taught how to use this and how to do a go, no-go test on, let's say, an inside diameter very quickly. So I'm going to set this up. First of all, I'm going to set my tolerance limits. So I'm going to press my high-low button. And we can see up here, right now, I'm in a position to set my lower tolerance limit. And I can just cursor over. I can move these up and down. I'm going to leave it set for 5/10ths under nominal. That's my lower limit. I press my high-low button again. Now I can set my upper tolerance limit. And we'll see that's 5/10ths over nominal. Now I'm going to set my master, and we'll see a little bit further what this does. When you press master on the Micro 2 air gauge, it automatically takes the